So I was reading this book, Deep Work by Cal Newport, and I just um, I left it there at page 70, and I just came here to talk about what I have gained reading this book so far. And it's very amusing to me that I have been given a new insight. I've been lacking this mentality or this mindset for such a long time. I've been doing shallow work because I've been really distracted, and I don't like being distracted. I am going to get my life together, and this is the only way I can do it, by going off radar and not having any technology getting in the way of me developing my own mentality around like my work, my own work. Like crafting a good video, it requires so much concentration and focus, and I want me to not have the audience in mind. I want to specifically have myself as the sole audience that I am making this for. And I would love to like have a real time conversation as I am writing the scripts, or as I am thinking of what to say. I would love to just think of it, or treat it as a statement that I want to make just because it sounds creative and it's beautiful. Like I want to treat it like art, like something very meaningful that I would appreciate and I would become super proud of once it's made and once I can publish it. But once I publish it, I'm not gonna see, I'm not gonna watch any comment or any feedback that has been given to me throughout the video. So that's probably the plan, and the stuff that I say here, or the things that I upload on this channel, like all the videos, it's always for me, and I do not want to have like any conscious thought of somebody else listening to me or watching me, or like me doing it absolutely for somebody else to do it, like just sounding like a very official thing. I would not love to do that. I would rather just try to talk about whatever I've understand from any specific book and podcast, or whatever I've read, whatever I've been watching, or whatever I have gained from my own thinking in isolation, or when I am out in the wild and interacting with society, because sometimes you would learn so much about yourself when you're interacting with other people, because you would see yourself different as they are, and that contrast can show you so much about who you are and what you're up to and like what you want to do in life. So that's also a lesson you can draw from being around people. But most of my lessons, most of my understanding only comes from isolation and being secluded from every other distraction that exists in this world. Like any person in this world, I would love to be very far away from them in order to have that artistic aura, or like the creative mentality, like that fuzzy feeling when you're like deep inside the another world, just doing your own craft, like engaging in perfecting your craft, and knowing that there are so many ideas that you're catching, and like you're making a ton of progress mentally and also like intellectually. So that intellectual travel to the this broad, diverse, and very magnificent and significant at the same time realm, this ocean that you swim in, is like such an eye-opening feeling and experience. And it really shows you how you can get inspired by just concentrating on your craft and doing the creative work in a very concentrated state of mind. And that's what Cal Newport talks about in this book, which really is such a great book to read. Like if you want to read any kind of book on productivity, do pick this one, because this talks about productivity in a very real way. Like it doesn't just tell you to do more stuff. It doesn't tell you to get busy. It tells you what you need to focus on, and like how you need to carry out or conduct this system of focus. Like you have to like cut off technology. And he always says that he doesn't have so much access to any social media, right? He's always doing the deep work and secluding himself, or like isolating himself in his room, or like in his office. And that office is only for the work to be done, and not for fidgeting around with the technology. And one thing that is very important for us to understand is that unless you actually concentrate on one specific task, like one range of task, one like a style of task, unless you absolutely do that single-mindedly, you're not going to be able to reach out to any ideas. Like the progress that you're looking for is in the deep work that you're avoiding, I would say, because sometimes we just wish for the ideas to come to us, instead of just engaging so freaking deeply with the material that you're tackling, that like it's an impossibility to not have the idea presented to you, like to not catch some beautiful insights out of thin air by just exposing yourself so deep into this ocean, into this vast ocean of information and knowledge that you're dealing with, that like it becomes almost impossible to not catch the ideas, to not fish out beautiful insights that can move the needle so far and can improve your mentality in the realm that you're working on. So for me, when I'm making videos, when I'm trying to write a very beautiful, inspiring script, something that is logically valid and also moving in some ways, like touching to the heart, and it gives you a kick in the, or a pat on the back, or like it gives you this beautiful aura, this creative aura, this air of creativity and like progress or intellectual discoveries, like stuff that you don't feel on a daily basis, right? Stuff that you don't really get access to on a routine foundation. Like when you're routinely just doing shallow work, you're not going to have any access to any of this bigger and deeper realm of knowledge and of intellectualism. So the only way you can reach out to it is by, for me at least, because I'm a writer, it's very important for me to have like very specific time blocks for writing in the beginning of my day, and to only focus on that. And sometimes I know that I've talked about like exercise and the importance of movement throughout the day, but sometimes I feel like even exercise can get me out of that mental not blob, like mental balloon. Like it's just a world of your own, right? That mental world, that intellectual world, that I cannot like afford to do a workout in a certain day if I'm really focused on the work. But of course, like workout is also important, but not if your work is your whole life and it's about to like get very serious in the period that you're focusing on. So I'm not saying that you do not need to spend your time on working out. What I'm saying is that you have to have certain priorities, because sometimes like if you do some workout, you might take the risk of just getting yourself out of that focused state and just beginning to like go inside an entirely new field of focus, right? It's like a different thing. It's not really the same. So you have to be cautious as to how you switch between tasks. Like don't be a quick switcher. Don't switch too fast between one activity that has nothing to do with the next activity. Like give it some time, let your mind marinate on it, or like let the ideas just revolve around your head for a certain amount of time. Give it some time, give it some levitation, or what do you say? It's like you have to let the idea seep very deeply into your mind so that it can grow and it can be watered and it can be like planted in a very productive way, so that it produces fruits and stuff, which means like ideas and insights and discoveries and understandings and revelation and moments of epiphanies. Like all of the things that you are looking for is in getting yourself into a focused state and letting yourself be deep for a while and forgetting about all the responsibilities that you have. So Cal Newport gives this example of Feynman, the physicist. So Richard Feynman said that I just dismiss all the responsibility. I tell myself that I am irresponsible, and if anybody comes up to me and says you need to do this work, or you need to switch to this task, or like take this on, take that on, he's gonna say I am irresponsible and I'm not doing the administrative work. Okay, and that's what we all need to do for some time. Like when you are at a very critical point in your career, that you need to really shut every voice, every noises around you off, and go into this deep mode of thinking and tinkering with the ideas and trying to figure out like what's really gonna work, or like try to see the bigger picture, or like all of those things that you need to do in order to get yourself to a higher point in your career. All of that requires a certain level of concentration that is not available to you when you're around distraction like technology and also people. So do you understand that when you're doing something like managing other people, or you're doing like leadership, something like that, administrative stuff, like when you're the boss, or you have all the responsibility on your shoulder, and your mind is always going to be looking at so many other things, and you're not going to be focused because you have so much responsibility. Your mind is going to refuse to be to let go of them and single-mindedly just focus on a specific task, or on a specific thought that you want to develop in your head. So it's very important for us to take that, like to develop a mindset or a skill that helps you or allows you to go into a mode that you do not have any responsibilities on your mind. So you have, like, your mind is empty, your mind is completely available to you in every aspect or in every dimension. It's available to you. You can use every part of it, every aspect of it is empty. So you have like this slate, a blank slate, that you can draw anything you want on, and you can paint as many landscapes on as you can. But the most valuable thing you have to do is to shut everything off and just have one specific objective in mind and work on that for quite a long time, until you do not have the energy to continue anymore. That's what I would recommend or suggest to you if you want to keep yourself in a state of focused and undistracted, uninterrupted, deep work. And that's what I would do. So, and right now I am feeling a bit distracted, just because I'm thinking, oh, is this episode is gonna be over, or am I like repeating so many things over and over? Am I not giving new points and ideas to my audience? But like, what the heck, Sarah? You just told yourself that you're not gonna have any audience in your mind. It's always gonna be you and you only. So just keep in mind that, like, even if you're listening to me, this is directly pointed at me. And I hope that you get something out of it, but I do not care if it doesn't give you anything, because not that like I don't care about my audience or anything, but if I were to think that I had any care for my audience, then I would mess this up and I would end up not giving my audience any valuable tips and advices. So it's better for me to just like pretend like I do not care about my audience. I do not care what they think. I do not care what they get out of this. I do not care if they get out of this, like they get anything out of this or not. I wouldn't mind if I had to waste their time. That's what I need to tell myself in order to do a good job and in order to keep my focus steady as I am going through the episode. This like episodic videos that I upload in this on this channel. So it's the important point of my conversation right now with myself is that I need to really find my focus back because I've lost it through shallow work for such a long time. I mean, all of us, we know, right? We've been dealing with technology rising up above our heads and just poking holes into our focused focus state and just like making it impossible for us to concentrate and for us to be happily engaged with the craft that we love. So it's kind of like taking everything from us and we have to fight back. We have to not let it do that to us. We have to be aware. At least like the first step is awareness. That's what I would say all the time. Like the first step is to become conscious of what you're allowing into your life, and then you get to decide to keep it away from you. All the harm that has been sneaking into your life should be gotten rid of. Should be get rid of or gotten. I don't know. My grammar is not answering me at this point, and I really feel like I have to focus too much more on getting my point across and pointing my audience in the right direction, but the audience is actually me. So what I have been thinking about is training my focus by doing something for a prolonged period of time. For example, the other day I was listening to this podcast and I found my thoughts wandering into other avenues, like not actually listening to the podcast and like making it so that the podcast was just a noise buzzing in my ears and just like white noise. Really, it became like white noise and I was like drowning in other thoughts that was emerging out of nowhere. And I would catch myself thinking of something completely different just because I was dealing with in my life. And that's what I mean. Like if you have responsibilities, if you have other worries and other things that you need to juggle all the time in your head and try to like, at least like get yourself to solve them, then you're not capable of the focus of resuming the stream of your thinking on a certain path and trying to like keep it there tied to the path that you have assigned your thoughts to go through. So that was a very, very painful experience to see that, to become aware of the fact that I'm losing my concentration by focusing on other things and by having those thoughts pierced into my mind without my awareness. So much of my time would actually waste like that. So much of my listening to the conversations that I was listening to from the podcast was just fading away or drowning out by me having other statements in my head, always like getting in the way of my listening. So what I forced myself to do is to force myself like to stay on the lines that they were saying. So I was listening to this podcast called Memory Palace, and it's a historical events narrated in a way that feels super random and personal at the same time. Like it doesn't feel like historical, it feels like a fictional thing, right? It's just a touch of fiction to it, and I love it because it empowers my imagination. And it also talks about people that have been doing such great job of tackling problems. So that gives me an opportunity to put myself in the